This is Fox 26 Morning News at 9 a.m. Connected to you.
We're talking about dyslexia now. It's the most common reason students of all ages struggle with reading, writing, and spelling. In fact, research at the National Institutes of Health suggests, get this, 20% of all Americans are affected by dyslexia. But there are a lot of misconceptions about this disability. We're going to be joined next by an educator who's going to walk us through some of the myths and teach us a lot more about this affliction. So stay tuned. Thank you, Mary Jo. When you hear the term dyslexia, what exactly comes to mind? I know for me the first thing that pops into my mind is reversing the letters of words. Well, is that true or is it more complicated than that? There are a lot of myths out there about dyslexia. So let's talk with educator Kim Bellini. She's the owner and director of the Woodlands Learning RX. She's going to tell us a lot more about dyslexia, how to recognize it, how it's treated, and really what parents can do to help. So let's talk about the myth that you're just reversing the letters of a particular word. Is that true in all cases? No, it's not. At Learning RX, we often get calls from parents saying that I think my child's dyslexic because they're reversing their B's and D's. They're in first grade, but actually that's not that uncommon for someone of that age. There's other things to look for and to notice in someone whether or not they are dyslexic. At what age does it become noticeable? I think, as my history as being a second grade teacher, reading difficulties really start to manifest themselves in the latter half of second grade. That's interesting. So when kids first start to read, I guess maybe I understand what you're saying because I have 4-year-olds at home, almost 5, and you know they know their letters, but yeah, sometimes they'll reverse them. So I think maybe at that very young age, it's going to be hard to really tell what's going on in their mind. But so it really takes maybe till they're 7 or possibly older than that. Yeah, and there's things, red flags, when someone is younger, such as having difficulty rhyming. Or, interesting. That's one red flag, as well as having difficulty hearing sounds within words. That's a skill called phonemic awareness. Or a child who may switch up sounds in a word, saying aminal instead of animal. That's kind of a red flag. Wow, that is very interesting. Okay, so let's put ourselves in the shoes of a parent out there that might have a child and they're a little concerned that they may be dyslexic. How is that diagnosed? Do they go to an educator like you or to a doctor, or what steps? A diagnosis is really only critical if you're seeking services within the school system. Like at Learning RX, we don't diagnose dyslexia. A lot of places will do an assessment, and that assessment will show a weakness in auditory processing or phonemic awareness, being able to manipulate sounds within a word. And regardless of what that test shows, the diagnosis is not critical. And the other thing that's interesting, there are a lot of famous people in history who have battled dyslexia, and they're all extremely intelligent. So other than this problem distinguishing words, or in reading and spelling and things like that, they're otherwise they could be a genius, right? Exactly. That is another sign of dyslexia, is that someone who is perceived to be overall really intelligent but just struggles with reading, and reading is a real challenge for them. So let's talk about some of the tools that you have here. How would this be used? A lot of us have magnetic letters on our fridge, and we do a good job with our kids teaching them the letters of the alphabet, but more importantly, I think it's important to focus on the sounds that those letters make. I think it's more critical for a child to know that the word cat consists of the sounds k, a, and t, rather than the letters C, A, and T. And building that underlying skill of phonemic awareness is very critical for successful reading later. So that's one thing parents can do. A child who struggles with reading, you can use one of these are called phonics phones, and you hold it up to your ear, and you can actually hear yourself reading, and that helps a child be able to hear the sounds in a word much more pronounced. Can I try that? Absolutely. For some reason I want to try it. That's pretty cool. So it does make it a lot clearer what's coming out of your mouth directly into your ear instead of hearing it. That's kind of neat. Where can somebody get something like that?
I got this at Lakeshore Learning.
Wow, that's terrific. So, okay, so the bottom line is if you suspect that your child might be struggling with dyslexia, go ahead and have, I guess, a diagnosis. Or an assessment
yes.
made. And from there, I guess my advice and your advice probably would be to parents, just, don't get down. You're going to work your way through it and have a normal, successful life.
Right. It doesn't have to be a lifelong label. With the correct interventions, and when parents are seeking out interventions, they need to look for something that is very sequenced and structured. Someone with dyslexia needs a program that's going to start with the basic sounds and symbols of our language and move to the more complex.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you, Kim Bellini. Thank you very much for all that great information, and that's very comforting. All right, Melissa, I understand we have some breaking news. Tell us about it.